is on closure of Parliament. The speakers, it is not too late. You have to think through this issue. This is the time we need working institutions, not institutions, especially in decisions, the institutions of decision making, to be closed down. We expect that Parliament can still protect itself by practicing the quarantine measures that are in force at the moment, but still be able to work for us and not run away from responsibility. If it is fearing that crowds will cause infection in Parliament, then they can avoid plenary, but break into departmental committees for making decisions, including even committees on transport. They are the ones we need at the moment on how best to manage public service transport. On the issue of MPs being at home, my brother, because of the robust social media these days, you are able to know what Dr. Eseli is doing in Tongaren. MPs have gone home, and they're the ones who are presiding over funerals. I see tweets coming in, and MPs in Nabaholo and MPs in such and such a place. We want to appeal to them that they should lead by example. They should not themselves be found in those particular places. The issue of hope is very important.
Hope.
Yeah, hope. We want Kenyans to know that the world is not going to be finished by coronavirus. It will not. This is not the first pandemic to happen. We had plague, we had influenza, we had measles, we had smallpox, and so on. It did not decimate the world population. We want to give them hope, and the best window is what has happened in Wuhan. Wuhan is a city of 11 million people. The epidemic has been contained in Wuhan. 40,000 medical personnel had been mobilized across China into Wuhan. They have gone back home.
Yes.
So it means if we sacrifice for this critical 3 to 4 weeks, what has happened in Wuhan would happen here. We must continuously give people that hope. Finally, there's the issue that as we wait for the lockdown, if the lockdown does not take place, we should also advise members of the public and demand of decision makers the following. One of the most important income generating activities in the rural areas is the socio-economic activities around open markets. In Ichwele, in Khaega, you know them.
Yes.
Now, we can actually manage these markets. What I have seen happen over the weekend is that the police are coming there and tear-gassing the people. People must remember that according to the Kenya Economic Survey, the latest, 14.9 million Kenyans earn from that kind of juakali activity. It is only 2.9 million Kenyans who earn from the formal employment, as it were. So these open-air markets, we need to market them. I would like to see a situation whereby the governors, with the devolved millions at their disposal, where they have put water and soap at all entry points across all open-air markets, so that anybody going in...
But do you think that is intervention that we need right now? Because I think when we're talking about a total lockdown, you agree with it, and then you are actually advocating for open market. It flies in the face of what you're saying.
Yes, I do.
Then again, Wuhan, as we know it, where did this coronavirus emanate? From an open market as it is,
yes,
right? Selling all kind of live animals, from bats we know.
Wild
animals, I should say, yes, of course. And hacking back, you say that coronavirus was discovered in 2007?
In 2007, October.
Was that the strain that, because this is a new phenomenon everyone is actually currently battling with right now?
Let me tell you.
That's why we have it, the COVID-19 till last year.
Let me tell you, Kenyans are watching, and therefore I cannot speak to things that are not facts. I always owe it to my medical colleagues, my brother here included, that what we speak here must be purely nothing but factual. In October 2007, Clinical microbiologists warned that the coronavirus was a time bomb. And the government of China, and at that time, they had localized the problem in southern China. And they said, as found in wild meat, meat of wild animals. The government of China ignored. And this is where we find ourselves.
All right.
So these things I'm saying about open air market, bear with me, is because there is no lockdown in Kenya. Today is Tuesday. If you go to Ikolomani on Tuesday, at the Shukulu market in Musoli, there's an open air market going on. So before we have the lockdown, we should also manage the markets in their present form. And this is why I'm saying it is not difficult to have water and soap, plenty of it at all, and sanitizers at all entry points. So that in the meantime, we are doing something positive about it instead of just tear gassing members of the public, who, by the way, if they don't earn from the little they make at that market, there will be no food at home. The children will die. So if you're tear gassing them, dear government, take food to those people. That's the only alternative they have. Let me tell you, seriously speaking, I practice my politics on the grassroots. Mtu mdogo, mtu wa kawaida. Somebody goes to the market in Chwele to sell a head of chicken. Makes 700 bob. That 700 bob will be the one that he'll use to organize his family.
Thank you.
So when you prevent him from selling that chicken, that family will not eat in the evening.
Right. For the children who are at home, people also raising concerns as well. We have Joseph Githi as we're winding up. He says it is shocking that parents are keeping indoors but letting children out to play. 30+ children playing and sharing sweets, mandazi. Keep children indoors and engage them, right? This is what he thinks as well. Maybe you can speak, because a lot of children now, parents at home, they're wondering, how do I contain our children as we're winding up? Dr. Eseli.
Yeah, it's a difficult area there, because holding on to children is a really difficult thing. In these countries where you had lockdown, like China and so on, their families are very small and they mostly have 1 or 2 children. So it's perhaps easier for them, unlike us with very large families. So I know there's a problem there, but we just have to do it somehow.
We just have to
and the good thing is that, as Boni Khalwale pointed out earlier, these young fellows don't seem to be as badly affected, although they can transmit it. And that's the reason why schools were closed.
Even if they're not really badly
even
affected.
If they're not unwell,
my thought is we don't need to compromise their, their system.
Yes.
Yeah. So that now we know they can come out of the rigors of coronavirus by the end of the day. We don't have to compromise, their lungs and the system through this particular.
The thing is, when they can get infected, they can get infected. But when their immunity is good, they might not even show any symptoms, and they'll get well. The only problem is they can transmit it to those who are not showing symptoms. I mean, to those who are not affected,
or even the elderly at home.
So we are in a catch-22 here. So the issue of how to take care of the children in the home is a big issue.
Right. 30 seconds.
However,
30 seconds.
I agree with Boni.
30 seconds.
Soap and water is okay. But remember now the latest research showing that COVID-19 is also airborne. So being airborne, then look at our sanitary conditions with a lot of dust. Being airborne, going on that dust, which then is brought up by matatus, you are exposing very many people.
No, but I think if you actually delve on that particular angle, being airborne, in the context of, I think, the medical stuff, that when you're doing all the spraying and all, it is the aerosols. Yeah. So the droplets actually, they're sort of encapsulated by the aerosols, so they can survive for a longer time and become airborne. Yeah. Because also we can send panic. Now people will start rushing for.
I'm not saying that we send panic, but we should actually state the facts. You see, like what Trump was saying about chloroquine and Zithromax. I think that's a desperate situation. But if indeed it proves to be useful, then we should use it. Desperate times call for desperate measures. But in this situation, one way to avoid panic is to go ahead with this lockdown. You see, we are worried about what people will eat. And I've said that during lockdown, this is a military event. Food should be supplied to these people. You are not just locked down and left there to die of hunger.
Right.
No.
Thank you.
It should be planned.
Thank you.
That's why Ramaphosa is calling for lockdown on 26th. Because in the intervening period, the government is planning on how they'll be able to avail food to the people.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Eseli. I think I wish we had more time, but
I think the only comment is on children.
Please.
It's a nightmare, I'm telling you. In fact, I have that nightmare in my home. My boy, 15-year-old, he loves football. He's come from school, but to contain him in the home is difficult. The Malinya Stadium is nearby. His age mates are there. They run away, they go. So it works very well when we are in the home. We can contain him. But the moment you leave, like now he's seeing me on TV, he knows he's going to have a field day to play soccer. I would like to invite the provincial administration, village elders and assistant chiefs, because they have time, to go and disperse those children, because the parents will be out of their home looking for what they can feed their children on. When because these administrators are at home, they can go and disperse those children from where they are assembled.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.